Hello epic viewers from around the multiverse, prepare to indulge in experiencing sheer bliss, because today another riveting captivating stellar unboxing video is about to be brought to fruition. What items will I be unboxing? What items will I be opening? Without further delay, without further procrastination, let me to elicit the box. What items are encompassed inside this bulky, hefty, casual, nifty box? Let's find out. I'm going to demystify the answer to that inquiry right here, right now, so bear with me. It'll only take me billions of seconds to extract the item from the box and subsequently flaunt him from the camera for you to feast your glorious eyes on. Here we go, the unboxing process is about to commence. The unboxing process is officially underway. What item have I prompted? What item have I drawn forth? What item have I elicited? What item have I extracted from the box? Let's find out. This action figure is known by the moniker of the Lich King. Is he a paradigm of resound perfection? Is he the epitome of resound perfection? Is he the embodiment of resound perfection? Let's find out. You can assess this figurine's merits down at the nitty-gritty details to determine whether or not he warrants a staggering, exorbitant, hefty premium price of $15. Unfortunately, his sword has been severed. The hilt is detached from the blade. That's a calamity within itself. I didn't expect to receive him in this condition, but it is what it is. I can contact the seller and see if he can issue me a partial refund if he lacks a replacement sword. But the sword is broken. The sword has been dismantled. I guess I need to utilize super glue in order to have a chance to repair it. But with accessory disregarded, how does this figurine hold up? So fortunately, to my dismay, his shoulder pads are comprised of rubber. Why is this a salient issue, you may ask? Well, it just doesn't look as epic or as profound or as intimidating as plastic, robust shoulder pads would have looked. So I prefer if the shoulder pads were comprised of plastic as opposed to rubber, but it's not too much of a big deal. The cape is comprised of either leather or cotton, most likely cotton. It's a polyester, not well acclimated with these clothing materials, so the cape within itself looks like a tissue. It's probably either comprised of leather or cotton. I'm not sure. I don't know how to distinguish the materials apart just by feeling them. That's not my forte. But so he has rubber shoulder pads, a cloth cape, and a broken sword. What else? His helmet cannot be removed. His elbows are not double jointed, nor are his knees. His diaphragm joint does not have much latitude for articulation. He can swivel at the waist, that's a positive. He can rotate his head, but is encumbered by his shoulder pads. He lacks a modicum of finger joint articulation. He's devoid of any finger joint articulation. His forearm guards are comprised of rubber, so he utilizes rubber and cloth. He's not really burly. He's not really hefty. He's not really bulky. I thought that he'd be bulkier. I thought that he'd be heftier. I thought that all of his attire would be comprised of plastic as opposed to rubber or cloth. But it's not the end of the world, I suppose. I do love his appearance. It emulates the Lich King's appearance in the World of Warcraft video game. I just would have preferred if he was comprised of more plastic. I would have preferred if he was spruced up and bulkier and a bit sturdier. I would have preferred if he had more points of articulation. The elbows nor the knees are double jointed. On the positive side, he can rotate his sides and his calves. He can rotate his forearms. He has a forearm swivel. He can't rotate the biceps, so his articulation is finite, but it's not the end of the world. He truly embodies the Lich King, and that's all that really matters. He's a part of the Heroes of Storm's action figure line. He's second iteration of the Lich King. I think that there was a Lich King, a part of the World of Warcraft action figure line that was released in the early 21st century. This Heroes of the Storm version is more flexible and is more affordable and is less bulkier. The other one is more preposed and has less points of articulation. So this is a definitive version if you're looking to obtain a stellar, high quality version of the Lich King without breaking the bank. Another version may not even have articulation. I think it does, but you could verify that for yourself if you buy the other version that was released roughly a decade or so ago. So I'm not sure whether the older version was released either a decade ago or a decade and a half ago, but it definitely doesn't have as many points of articulation as this version, and I can assure you that it'll be more money than this version, at least at the moment, but maybe prices will fluctuate in the pending future. Since the sword is dismantled, it compromises the intrinsic value of the figure. I love the figurine's aesthetics, I love his hues, I love his shadings. His armor looks a bit gritty, to say the least. He looks like he's sadistic, he looks like he's evil and malicious and menacing and intimidating and deceptive and corrupt, but I guess it truly is befitting for the character. I guess his attire and his wardrobe and his armor and his cosmetics truly befit him and suit him and seem appropriate for him. So it's nice that he looks like the Lich King and doesn't seem shoddy. So nearly everything with this figurine is impeccable, with the exception of the broken sword, the rubber guards, the cloth cape, and the lack of bulkiness and the limited articulation. Other than that, I can't really complain. But for $15, I'm discontent with my purchase and decision since the sword is severed. If the sword wasn't severed, then I would have been buoyant, jubilant, and gratified. But with the severed sword, I'm going to try to obtain a partial refund. But if it's not possible, maybe I'll return him and buy another one for $15 or so. So he came bundled with Illidan Stormrage, and here are the two side by side. They're I was about to say they're brethrens, but I don't know that for sure. So I'm just making arbitrary assumptions. I think they're both evil, but maybe they're not associated with one another, or maybe they have an allegiance with one another. Who the shell knows? Here's a sword. This is his infamous blade. The hilt is severed from the blade. He doesn't have a sheath that he can store it in, so his weapon is unsheathed, but it's not too much of a big deal. I just would have preferred if he had more plastic and less cloth and less rubber, but if it plunges the price and allows NECA to sell him for a more reasonable price, then I'm all for using rubber and cloth to displace plastic, as long as it's more affordable on my behalf. That's really all that matters. But I mean, I really have to contact the seller and express my grievances about this broken sword, and if he refuses to issue me a partial refund or allow me to return the item, then I'll have to get eBay involved and see what they say, because in the product description this was never disclosed, and if it hypothetically if it had been disclosed, then I would have desisted from bidding on these figures, because I don't want a Lich King figurines a broken sword, especially for $15. But for as like a $8 or $10 figure, I'd accept having a Lich King with a broken sword, but it kind of ruins the figure, to say the least, if he's lacking his innate default epic sword. So that's what I wanted to showcase and reveal and flaunt. You described the Lich King vicariously through my camera lens, and now you know what he truly looks like if you've never seen him before. In action figure form, this hunk of plastic is meritorious, but he's not worth $15 with a severed sword. But if his sword is intact and hasn't had his integrity compromised, then it is worth $15, especially if you're an avid devout World of Warcraft fan. But it's all contingent on your niche interest, so implement decisions based on your own volition. Don't be persuaded or dissuaded by anyone to do anything. So decide for yourself whether or not you want to buy him. He's a part of Wave 2 of the Heroes of Storm action figure line, so not an abysmal figurine, but he could use some improvements. But I wouldn't recommend improvements if they cost... I wouldn't recommend improvements if they impel NECA to double the prices or increase them by 50%. It's not worth the trade-off. I would just prefer if everything was comprised of plastic, or mostly everything. But it's not worth the trade-off if it causes them to raise their retail prices by 25% or 50% or 100%. I'll just stick with the rubber and cloth components, with mostly plastic body parts. So, as a totality, this figurine is mostly plastic. Sure, he has some rubber and cloth components, but it's not enough of a deterrent to deter me from buying him. So I guess I'll just contact the seller, see if I can get a partial refund, and settle it in that manner. Unless anyone has another recommendation, which I can heed. So I hope that you found this video to be intriguing. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Goodbye.